I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
What's good with this? IFL TV proudly sponsored by Everlast here at York Hall. Dean Whyte joins me. This is like your second home, innit? I feel every time I come to York Hall, I expect to see Dean Whyte.
Is it your second home?
My second home, yeah. How you been?
I'm all good, you know. I'm all good, man. Popped down there to support a couple of the guys, so yeah, it's all good.
I come to the weigh-in for your last show. I wasn't at the show myself, but saw some stuff online. Another pop-in black box show.
Come on, man. We're trying to churn them out. We're going again, November the 5th. Bonfire night, so be there or be square, man. Trust me. We'll have another cracking night, man. It's been great.
What was the last one like then? Obviously, I know you're kind of, when I speak to you, it's always like you want to try and progress each one. So was that kind of another level up?
Yeah, we did. We upped the level of the production again. If you seen, we had like, you know, the monitors on the side with the rounds on it. Oh, it looks like you need to go and see. You know like what they did in Saudi with the pictures of the fighters on the side? We had them going around, look fucking sick. And we're always trying to elevate and do stuff, man. But you know, it's going to be hard to keep beating and, you know, keeping that momentum. But we're going to keep trying, man. I mean, we'll have another show. That'll be our 6th show. And then next year we're stacked again. We've got about 7 booked in, and then I'll have a few more. So, yeah, it's all good.
I'll make sure I get myself down to fight week for the next one. You know what I'm going to ask. There is so much to talk about, right? The heavyweight scene. Are you kind of disappointed with where we stand now? Because I know there was that kind of maybe a 3 or 4 day window where we all sat there and went, fuck me, FuryJoshua, it's going to happen. And now we kind of sit there and it looks like Fury's going to fight Manuel Charr.
That's a mad fight. But look, Fury's in the driver's seat. He can fight who he fucking wants, I guess. You know what I mean? 1 minute he's retired, then he's going into WWE, then he's back, then it's Joshua, then it's Wilder. I don't know. Look, you know, I'd like him to see him fight Joshua, but just not yet. Joshua's coming off a loss. I feel like Joshua's, you know, got a bit of things to do. He needs to repair, you know, physically, mentally. He needs a little bit of a break, and then come back next year, man, revigorated, rejuvenated, and hopefully, you know, work on some things. But I think he does a little bit better with Tyson Fury in terms of styles, because when you fight a southpaw, it's a lot tricky. You know what I mean? But I mean, obviously, we look at the landscape. Fury is the top dog, but I mean, I still think as a if it's orthodox to orthodox, I think he does better. But Fury's a switch hitter, so it'll be an interesting fight nevertheless. You know what I mean?
I mean, as someone who works in that side of boxing, you'll know about contracts. Obviously, this is one of the biggest fight contracts in the history of the sport. Everyone outside of the sport perhaps will look and say he don't want to fight, he's ducking him, blah blah. But is the contract situation is it unreasonable to ask for the certain amount of time that's been asked?
Them kind of fights, that quick. There's those boys, especially Joshua, his marketing machine, his profile doesn't allow it to move as quick. You know, I know a little bit, obviously, because of Dillian and certain rights they want to keep, and you know, and it does become tedious. Even with Dillian's fight with Fury, that was tedious. If you notice, it kind of dragged out for a long time before it got completed, because there's things that need doing. And when you're a high-profile fighter, this, you know, it's like that. And Joshua and then Fury, you got the two biggest high-profile guys. I know the Gypsy King said, oh, he allowed concession for X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, Joshua is a bit different, because Joshua's got, he is the dream, the poster boy in boxing. So, you know, it is a bit complicated. But look, that fight will come in time, and as a fan, you'd want to see that. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to it.
I know you said he can fight who he wants, and I suppose as the champion, there is kind of truth to that. But are you disappointed in the fact that it could be Manuel Charr when there are so many other good options out there?
I won't be like waiting up or anticipating watching that fight. Manuel Charr's going to sleep. Like, not being funny, he's a character. I think he will sell the fight somewhere. You know, when we first heard of him, when he went into David Heat, I come to fight you, I respect you, and you'll fight me. You know, like he was doing a mad thing. Remember, after the fight, he was doing a mad thing. But yeah, you know,
you're going to get a good build-up in a shit fight, is what you're telling me.
A good build-up, but was it Marius Braders put him to sleep? Or one of the Marco Hook Marius Braders? Yeah. So, my friend, not interested in this fight. But Styles do make fights. He looks like he's put on a lot of weight, you know what I mean? I think he got shot a couple of times, and it's probably made him more resilient. I don't know. You know what I mean? So, who fucking knows, mate? It does do something to you getting shot or something, mate. I'll tell you that. But anyway, back to real business. But hopefully, let's see. I think the Gypsy King just wants to fight. I got a feeling next year he might really retire. I'm not sure, but that's some things I hear in the grapevine. But let's see.
So it leaves Joshua a bit in the lurch. Joshua and Dillian straight up in December. It would make sense, but I suppose is it unreasonable at this stage or not?
Both are coming off losses, so it's not unreasonable. It's a fight that makes sense when you talk about both guys needing to come back and get a win. Both guys are big fans' favourites. I'd personally like them both to go away, get wins, and then come back because it's all about morale, confidence. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to Joshua comes back, get a win. Dillian comes back, get a win. But at the same time, it's business. These two are at the top end of the table where the business is real paper, real money. You know what I mean? Those guys, their money, what they make is something totally different to some people. You know what I mean? So I think it'll be a good fight where they are. You know what I mean? Is Joshua repaired? Because a lot of people consider him a damaged man. You know what I mean? So, but let's see. I think he's still got a lot left. I think he's a man that just wears his heart on his sleeves and he's got a lot of emotion let out because he put a lot into it. And his team were telling him he was winning that fight. Not sure how, not sure why, but his team were telling him he was winning. So it's a bit bizarre to be honest because I don't think he was winning. I think he won a few rounds here and there, but yeah, he was getting outworked a little bit. You know what I mean?
And when it comes to Dillian, the boxing fans don't miss a trick, do they? I know Eddie said in an interview he kind of put the matchroom schedule out there for the rest of the year when he was hitting back at Espinoza. And he said, we've got Dillian returning, so 2 and 2 together, Dillian, matchroom. I think we kind of perhaps expected it a bit, but...
I guess they got the biggest checkbook matchroom in the zone. So, I know Dillian's looking for a platform. He's done his career with matchroom. And obviously those boys have got that big budget. So I guess that's where he laid his hat and they gave the biggest offer. I know he was talking to Queensby Frank Warren and he was talking to Boxer. So, we'll find out shortly when the announcement comes. But Dillian's meant to be out before the end of the year. They said the end of November. Hopefully they push it to the beginning of December, to be honest. But let's see.
Do you think Dillian would ever kind of change his mind contractually? Because I know there's always been that kind of gentleman's agreement sort of thing with Eddie, and it was never he was fully with Matchroom. It was like a fight by fight. Do you think Dillian would ever commit to someone like Matchroom, or is it, look, biggest paycheck for this time in his career, so a fight by fight makes sense? Yeah, and I'm sure, like you said, he's got like a few fights left in him. I'm sure Dillian will look at where the biggest option is, where the biggest pay is, because potentially he might go and do deals with ESPN in America. If there's a big fight in America that makes sense, he could do something with PBC if the money makes sense. So all these options are open, I'm sure, but obviously he's like loyalty, as it was somewhat, would be with Matchroom and Eddie at the minute. All right, just one more thing. Obviously, next week we've got Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. The fight week's obviously going to be carnage, but up until now, just kind of your assessment on the build-up. We got Conor just saying I'm in the gym, typical Conor, and Chris saying he's only at 60%. So just kind of your take on that.
Do you know? I'm a big fan of Conor Benn. What he's done, someone who didn't have a stellar amateur career. They're both my brethren, Conor and Eubank. I feel like when you look at the fight, I understand why the confidence is with Eubank because he's got more experience. He's done a lot more. They always say a big Gooden beats a small Gooden. When I look it up and weigh it up, what's the guy? It's slipping me. What's the guy Conor fought here?
Cedric Payno, and he got dropped twice.
He fought him twice. He hasn't improved a lot since then. And then you got Formella. Formella's very tough and durable. So Eubanks is equally tough and durable, but lets his hand go a little bit better and bigger. Can use his jab, can use his foot. Not the biggest puncher. He didn't stop Formella. So when I'm adding up what it is, what I'm trying to get at is I can't see him stopping Eubank, because Eubank's IQ, I feel, he's advanced more than Formella, if you get my meaning. Formella's tough, durable, his game, but he's just a little bit down the line. I think it's going to be a hard night. It depends what style and how Eubank kind of makes the fight layer. I know Ben's got big power, so he's explosive, but yet again he's a lot shorter. My man's probably going to box, use his reach, and it's going to be an interesting fight. I wouldn't be surprised either way who won, but I'm saying normally a big Gooden beats a small Gooden. So I mean, we saw George Groves and Eubanks, and George Groves is a huge puncher in many different ways. When he was sparring, he was a little bit of a wrecking ball back in the day in the gyms. He was always trying to get Dillian out, hey out. You know, anyone he sparred, he was trying to punch holes through everyone. So he was a huge puncher, and Eubanks didn't get knocked out and he survived. So I can't see Conor stopping Eubanks. Yet again, making the weight and trying to box out that weight, sometimes those things can affect you, your punch durability. But we're only going to see, we've only got to wait next week and all the answers will be revealed. But listen, good luck to both men. I wish them well. They get paid well and make the best man win.
Top man, Dean. Appreciate you. Love, bro.
Yeah, I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
5 blokes outside my front door. You coming in?
One hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.